wasps is because Tumba's still sleeping, and like I say, he was buzzing around us. I was hoping to get it on camera if it was going to stop on my dashboard, but it seems to just stop for about a second and then fly off like wasps do. They never do sit for very long periods of time. And so, unfortunately, we won't be able to get that particular wasp on camera, but it's a beautiful kind of metallic blue. It's not the spider hunting wasp that we do see. Those sound like helicopters coming in. This one is a little bit smaller than that and is not that same kind of metallic green blue that you see. It's more blue, dark blue black that we're seeing on this particular wasp. Like I say, poor Senzo is trying to dodge it, let alone film it, and that's why we can't put it on camera. It's also not sitting for long enough either. Nikki, Tumba's paws, yes, they are big, and generally you can kind of work out that a bigger paw normally means a bigger leopard. It's not always the case. I have seen leopards that are quite short and stout, but have massive feet, and we know in the Birmingham's case, if you put all 4 Birminghams next to one another, there's not that much of a size difference between the 4 of them. I mean, the manes are bigger, but the body size is not massively different, but yet the feet size in those boys is completely different. One Birmingham boy has got tiny feet, and one has got absolutely massive feet, but in terms of body size, they're all generally the same. So it's not always a guarantee that their paw size will indicate the size of leopard they're going to be, but at his age, to have paws the size that he does, I reckon that he is going to be a big boy. He's also just physically, he's not small either. He's tall, he's quite well built already. Remember the other day we saw him with Hosanna, who's 6 months his senior, and there was very little in the way of size between the two of them. Hosanna was slightly bigger and bulkier, but not by much, not by 6 months, that's for sure. Well, not in my opinion anyway. To me, oh, look at that. He's got a little ball. Look at his claws around the ball of dung as well. Oh, you've got yourself a little play ball. Oh, now we're going to roll on it. So you see it's between his paws. There's just a ball of elephant dung that's in between there. What are you doing, you silly cat? Now we're going to go to sleep with my ball. Nobody will take my ball. It is my ball, and I will not give it to anyone. I'm not making fun of you. Don't look at me like that. But that is super cute. He kind of dug his claws into it, and then he just held it, and he's still got it in amongst his mitts. But look at that face. So cool to see. He really is got the most striking features, in my mind, of the leopards that we currently see at the moment. His pink nose, light eyes, and dark markings make him just very, very striking. He's kind of, there's something about him when you look at him, and maybe it doesn't transcend a lens, but here in real life, I promise you, when he looks at you, you can't help but kind of just look back and stare at him. It's weird, but you end up just staring at him and kind of realizing just how perfect nature is, and how amazed that there can be coats like that and colors like that in the wild. It really is an incredible thing. But I'm loving the fact that he still hasn't let go of that ball. It literally is like a kitten with a ball of wool. It is his, and he will keep it close to his chest until such time as he decides it's not his, which is pretty funny. So we'll see if he plays with the little ball more. Sometimes they will have full games when they really are small cubs. You'll find they'll attack balls of dung, and they'll claw at it, and they'll throw it up in the air, and they'll bite at it, and then eventually they kind of lose the interest and move away. And as they get older, that also stops. What are you doing? You are a silly boy. This is what I was saying about Tumba. He never really sits still for that long, and he's always kind of twisting and turning and doing silly things. So he's an entertaining character to watch. And, we've had very few flat sleeping sightings of little Tumba. He mostly has been kind of up and moving, and has been doing some sort of interesting behavior. So it's been nice to kind of spend that time with him and to watch him, because he is a little character and typical young male. I mean, Hosanna's the same. They've got the attention span of a squirrel, and anything that moves and makes a noise they're watching and looking at and biting at and chasing. And so it's really cool to watch the two boys, and we've been so spoilt with both of them. We've had such regular sightings of the two little princes lately that it's been such a fantastic learning curve for us, and we've been spoiled to watch these two grow and develop as individuals. But I think what I might do is just want to see what he does and whether or not he settles a little bit more like that. But what I might do is just go around the other side so that we can get another look at his face rather than his back, because I think he might face up the drainage for a little bit longer. He's almost positioned himself that if he does sleep, he'll sleep facing that other direction and not us. He'll have to turn his whole body to face us. So I want to go to where that fallen over log is on the other side of the drainage. There's a nice little gentle slope into it, and so I can go that way, and Senzo also won't have to deal with branches once again in front of Tumba's face, because if Tumba looks our way, poor Senzo's got branches all over the place, and so it's not going to be that pleasant. Shame, boy, are these flies bothering you? Look, he's growling at the flies now. So you can just see every now and then his whiskers lift and he shows his teeth as if to kind of scare the flies off, or not that the flies are in any way taking notice. Silly boy. You're going to face that way, okay. So those are the sticks I was talking about, so I do apologize, but given that he is facing this way now, we'll just stay where we are. It's much better in this particular section. Yes, you get them. Don't let the flies be the boss of you. No. It's all too much. Like I say, to be a celebrity and to show oneself off, it can't be done all the time. You've got to just take little bouts of napping between all the cuteness and all the playfulness. And so I think he's in a situation now where he's going to just chill out for a while and hope that everything leaves him alone. Now, from one sleeping cat who is spotty and beautiful to other sleeping cats that are not so spotty but still equally as beautiful in the Mara.
Right, so we are sitting with the lions still. They haven't really not done too much more other than every now and then roll over, but no signs of jumping up onto their feet just yet. Well, if they are, they're doing a very good act this afternoon. Now, I've been reading, I'm trying to read here. There have been conflicting answers as to who these lions are. Whether they are the Triangle Boys or the Chitwa males. Is there a difference? Are they sometimes called either or are the Triangle Boys completely separate to the Chitwa males? Also, now I don't know how many Chitwa males there are. Let me check if I've got anything in my notebook before we go. So these are the things we need to try and come across. Now, unfortunately, I don't spend all day on Facebook on the lion groups, so it would very much come in handy if those of you who have invested a little bit of time on doing some serious research. It would be great to pass it on. Obviously, none of us want to feed anybody the incorrect information. So I'm just checking. I've only got the Triangle Boys. I don't have anything written down by the Chitwa males, so I wonder if they're not maybe the same thing. Maybe I'm incorrect. But of course, I'm always willing to say sorry and that I was wrong. Please forgive me for making a mistake. You can hashtag Safari Live. Maybe you've got some links that you'd like to share as well, because I was trying to have a little scan now on one of the groups on Facebook of the lion groups, but I can't find individual profiles for the Chitwa males. Maybe it's also because I'm sitting out in the middle of a field and my cell phone connection is not particularly strong. That could also be the case, so it might be that I'll have to go onto my computer at some point and try and have a look around. Obviously, the lions of the Sabi Sand are heavily studied, and we've been following them for years and years and years, so it's much easier to get accurate information. But of course there are a few individuals who are actually part of the Mara Lion project and who go out and study them 24/7, and they will have ID kits. So it's just not always this type of thing gets passed down to the public, but it would be nice to try and get hold of it. Ah, nice one. So there we go, that's half-tail. Nice, Manu. He spotted as he was swatting. I was staring at the other two. Serves me right for not looking at my monitor. So that must be half-tail, which is exciting. So that makes sense to me. So perhaps people call these boys either the Triangle males or the Chitwa males, because for the Triangle Boys, those are the names that I have written down. And maybe it's exactly the same for the Chitwa male. So much of a muchness, really. I don't have a problem if you call them either or, but if you get hysterically upset about calling them the Triangle Boys, we don't mean to offend you. The most important thing in the end is that we get to see these beautiful cats every single day. which is really cool. And watching them grow too. So that's quite nice. So he's actually not missing most of his tail, it's just a little bit of it. See that? That's pretty cool. So I was actually expecting a little bit more of the tail to be gone. Maybe this is the same one I saw the first time. Now, Jackie's 8th grade class, you're wondering how do male lions in the coalitions get their names? Maybe it's the same as the Sabi sand, but in the Sabi sand they're typically named from the area that they've come from. So a lot of the areas within the Sabi sand, or even the Tumba, for example, were individual farms, and those pieces of land had different names to them. So the Birminghams come from the Birmingham farm, which was up in the Tumba, and the Charleston males, which roam around down the southwestern corner of the Sabi sand, come from a property near Londolozi called Charleston. So there's all these different ways that they're named, but that's typically it. And I would assume that the only other lion I sort of know that has a name like that is Mandlev, who is the the oldest lioness in the Southern Pride. So again, it's just sort of identifying features. Is because her one ear flops down to the side. And that's why she's called Mandlev, means ear. So that's how it sort of goes. Now, Chrissy, you're wondering if there's any animals that are not afraid of lions? Ooh, that's a tough one. What about a little bird? Maybe like a drongo. I feel like fork-tailed drongos are fearless, and they would not fear a lion. Elephants, of course, we see the reaction to them. They do show some fear, but, honestly, who's going to mess with an entire herd of elephants? One little elephant on its own is a completely different story. I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to say a grasshopper. Maybe to an adult lion. A grasshopper is probably not going to fear a lion because it doesn't want to eat it. But a young cub, again, completely different story. Hopping in the grass would just incite curiosity, and it would chase after it. Again, probably wouldn't eat it though. Maybe if it tried to, I don't think it would enjoy the taste of an insect very much. So it's a hard one to sort of answer. The response to hippos is quite funny. When hippos stumble across lions, sometimes they panic and then they charge away, and then other times they chase the lions. So it's again, rhinos actually as well are pretty tolerant of lions. They don't seem to always be nervous. They sort of make that chuffing, that weird a noise that I've heard. I don't know why I did that. That noise every now and then when they see rhinos. But most of the encounters I've had with rhinos and lions, the rhinos again will chase the lions away, or sometimes just ignore them, and the lions get up and move. So yeah, it's more, lions have to be very careful. And then, well, I bet there's one that you're all probably saying, the buffalo. Now, they're eternal enemies, the buffalo and the lions, because lions love to eat buffalo, especially in the Sabi sand, and buffalo don't like to be eaten by lions. And buffalo will stampede lions and horn them to death. And if they come across sleeping cubs, or if they come across a den site, they will kill the lion cubs. So, maybe the buffalo is the animal that doesn't really fear the lion too much, because when they all stand together, boy oh boy, they're a force to be reckoned with. Even one big buffalo bull on his own can really show a pride of lions if he's fit and healthy enough. He can boss them around and make them turn and run with their tail between their legs. I've actually seen that many a times. I was told the story about the Southern Pride once hunting buffalo. It was at dusk. It was very difficult to see. Goodness, I wish I had thermal cameras when I was guiding. It would have made everything a lot easier, or infrared. And basically what happened is these lions started stalking this big buffalo bull, and he then eventually picked up that the lions were stalking him. So what did he do? I've never seen a buffalo do it since. He did this rocking horse motion where he sort of leapt forward, so his front feet were off the ground, and then he landed on the ground, and it made such a thud. And then his back feet would land afterwards, and it'd make a thud again, and he just sort of did that motion out of the sighting, and lions cleared away as if a bowling ball had come through and they were skittles, and knocked to the sides, and then off he went, and you could hear that bah bah on the ground as he went, and that was pretty incredible. That was quite cool to sort of, we couldn't really see much, we could just see the flashes of the lions, but you could hear it, and the lions were going, oh no, it's okay, we'll give buffalo a skip. So I think, and hearing things like that's pretty cool. I'm nervous of a buffalo. I mean, you can speak to all of the guides. The animals we don't like to bump in are often buffalo. Herds of buffalo are not too shabby, they're right. They tolerate you a lot more because there's so many of them. But a buffalo on its own, and then hippos out of the water, or even a hippo in the water, would frighten me. Yep, that frightens me too. But it's good to be fearful of the animals because that means you're also respectful of them. You don't want to get too complacent around them. Now, Gremlin's generally wondering, how did Halftail lose his tail? I don't know. I think this might be the second time that I'm seeing him. I think. This is the first time I've noticed the tail. That's for sure. I do think it was the same male that I saw, though. Just get quite a dark mane. I remember that from when we were down near... You remember we had the whole pride of lions, the whole Angama pride. It was really quite cool. So, well, he could have lost it from a number of different things. Maybe it was deformed when he was young. Maybe he got injured and there was a wound and the flesh, I don't know, half of it fell off. Maybe a hyena bit it when he was young. Maybe he escaped the jaws of another male lion, you know. So many different things could have happened. It could, like I said, it could have broken, infection could have set in. I don't know, we can guess and gamble. I haven't met anyone just yet who has, well, I probably need to ask the Angama guides. They would probably know best as to how this lion lost his tail. So we shall ask around. Or Jamie. Jamie will probably know. Jamie's spent a lot of time with these boys, from my understanding. Or Brent. Or James or Scott. But James and Scott are not here until, when do they come back again? 25th. Whole crew's arriving again. It's going to be busy. Now, this is not looking too good for us, is it now, Manu? I don't know, do we need to check if they're breathing again? They really are just relaxing. It could be quite nice, though, because I haven't heard many roars down in the valley. So maybe if these boys are back from wherever they've come from, maybe they're going to do a bit of a territorial patrol and put on a show. We'll see. Anyways, Tumba, however, has started to wake up now. Let's go and see how he can clean his coat.
He is indeed. He's starting to groom himself. So we know this morning when he started to settle down that there was some grooming that went along, and that was kind of him getting ready for his afternoon or morning nap, should I say. Now the opposite process happens before they wake up. So he will start grooming himself in preparation to start moving. The sun is just setting now. It's starting to get a little bit cooler, and so I think we might see little Tumba going for a bit of a walk now. I wonder if he's not going to go and try and find some water. He stood up for a little bit and then decided nope, still got some grooming to do, and then sat down and groomed again. So I think he's going to start thinking about moving fairly shortly. You can see he's just grooming his back foot there, and that's his back foot. And look at the size of the paws in relation to his head. Remember that their back foot is smaller than their front foot, and so he's got massive back feet already, and his front feet are even bigger. So that's almost adult size male back foot, and you can see the 3 lobes perfectly there on the back. Really nice, and the roundedness of those lobes as well that we always talk about with males. So the males have those really round back lobes, whereas the females are a little bit more angular than that. Oh, look at that. Hello, boy. I just love how he looks around. He's always wide-eyed when he looks at things. He's not like other leopards that will kind of half look and kind of just open their eyes. He likes his eyes to be wide open and kind of really stares at everything and analyzes and takes notice of what's going on around him. It's always nice just to sit and watch him looking. Henny, you say Tumba is an absolute joy to watch, and that he's always curious and really kind of engaging in his environment and watches everything that moves and checks everything out and analyzes everything, and that he's one curious cat. He is indeed, and he is a joy to watch. I agree with you. I think he's a wonderful leopard to spend time around just because of his curiosity. He's a leopard that, even though he's sleeping, you never know what you're going to get from him. He might all of a sudden bolt upright and look around, and this afternoon he's been in a fairly sleepy mode, but still we've seen him looking up in the trees, we've seen him grooming himself, he's been biting at flies, he's been looking at us, and he kind of just takes it in his stride. He likes just taking in the environment that he's in, and there we go, just having a little look at us, and he really is kind of interested in what goes on around him, and it's wonderful to watch him as he explores these areas. But remember, this is also new for him, these sections. He doesn't know these areas well. He didn't grow up in this section, he wasn't born around here, so he's exploring this area and exploring this little slice of the Mulawati that he's got for now, and he's really kind of making the most of it, and he needs that. He needs to be able to know and be familiar with what goes on here, because if there's ever a situation where, let's say, lions run in or wild dogs, that he knows where the safest points are going to be and where to try and get himself to in order to avoid being hurt or eaten or anything like that. And so this curious nature that he's got is not only kind of helping him out figure out how to catch food, it's also helping him figure out how to stay safe in an area that is predator rich and full of bad, terrible things. So it's good that he is the way he is, and it's just the only thing is he mustn't be too curious and engage with some of these things, because otherwise he's going to get himself hurt. The other day with the elephants, it was ridiculous. He was just trotting around in amongst them as though they weren't anything to worry about, and obviously elephants can be quite nasty when they want to be, and they really could be quite a handful if they got anywhere near him. So he needs to be a little bit careful in that regard and just not investigate too much. And also his brazen disregard for other leopards is going to get him into trouble at some point if he doesn't watch himself. He needs to, pay attention and to not be this curious little boy that just walks up to the nearest leopard and kind of goes and sniffs and has a little look and wants to make friends. He needs to be far more cautious of who he's approaching and why he's approaching them. He's lucky that so far it's been Hosana and Shongile, both of which are trying to find their feet and are in no way territorial and therefore far more understanding. Also Tingana, being his dad, knows he's not a threat just yet, but that will soon change. The more Tingana finds him on his own, the more Tingana smells his urine, the more Tingana is going to realize, hang on a second, this is a young male that's no longer with the mother, and he's starting to make a little home for himself, and he's not going to be too impressed about it. So he needs to be very careful about who he goes sniffing around with and sort of smelling and talking and spending time around. There we go. Isn't that those markings absolutely beautiful? Now I remember this morning, I can't remember who it was, but someone asked, isn't he quite light coloured? But if you look there, you can actually see he's got a deep gold back. Look at that orangey kind of coloured back that he's got. He has a really beautiful coat that is rich in coloration. Oh, are you going to sit there now? Right, I'm going to just try and reposition myself so I can get into a better situation that we can actually see him. First, I'm going to get into low range, because otherwise Rusty's not going to go up the bank. Come on, Rusty, up you go. Go. So we just need to try and get ourselves into a position where we can actually get round this tree that is blocking us at the back here. So just try there. Am I good there, Senzo? This is why it's nice to have Rusty, because Rusty's power is just that much more, and getting up and down the Mulawati is so much easier in Rusty than it is in Wendy. So it really is very pleasant to have him at the moment and to have him working properly again. So hopefully he will stay in the way that he is now. Now where's little Tumba? I don't want to spook him. Okay, there he is. He's alright. So let's just get around like this. How's that? And so that is about as good as it gets in terms of seeing a male leopard right out in the open, in the sand. So I just want to straighten Senzo out so he's not shooting in case he walks towards us, that Senzo is not having to worry about the aerial. There we go. How's that, Senzo? So, absolutely beautiful. How nice is that, guys? And the light is quite pleasant now. Even though the sun is going down, it's a soft light that we're seeing on him at the moment, which is really quite wonderful. So you can see he's just sitting, watching what's going on, watching these vehicles going back and forth, and probably wondering to himself, what is all the fuss about? I'm just wanting to sleep. Why do you all want to look at me? You are a little rock star, Tumba. Lots of people want to photograph you, and lots of people have photographed you, so unfortunately you're going to have to get used to it. I wonder where he's going to end up in life. I wonder if he's going to be a leopard that's going to spend time here in the northern sands, or if he's going to distribute into somewhere else in the Sabi sands, or into the Kruger. I really hope it is somewhere where we can follow him and follow his kind of life as he becomes an adult and becomes a territorial individual. It would just be really wonderful to know where he and Hosanna are, even if they don't settle here and we don't see them, just to know where they are and to get regular updates on them will just be so nice. So I'm hoping that's going to be the case, and that there will be places where they're going to spend a lot of time. Oh, so nice. Palin, you're most certainly a leopard can survive with one eye. I've known 2 females that have had one eye in my time. One was Safari, the mother of Karula, and in fact even the grandmother of this little Tumba. So she was the grandmother of basically Tandi, so great-grandmother, is it? Yes, great-grandmother of little Tumba. And she had one eye, and she had one eye for 6 years and managed to survive to 19, which is way over the average for a leopard. So it just shows you they can survive very well with one eye. They just will rely heavily on their other senses. So they'll use their ears, they'll use their nose, their whiskers, all to be able to try and figure out their environment. But isn't that beautiful? Oh, so nice. So yes, they can survive. And the other female that I've spent time with, who is still alive now, is Nsele. Nsele is the daughter of Salesh and is dominant around the western part of Elephant Plains and Simbambili, and she also only has one eye and is perfectly fine, moving around and doing just fine and catching the food, and even successfully raising a cub at the moment. She's got a cub, and I think the cub is about 9 months old, and she's had one eye the whole time she's had that cub. So they can survive with one eye. They do survive, and they do it very well, actually, because they just kind of work it out, and they're able to know exactly where to go and what to do, and they use all the other senses in order to help them catch prey. It's interesting though that their eye adjusts to also depth perception, because the 2 eyes help us to be able to judge distance, and so it's amazing that they can actually adapt from having the 1 eye to 2 and being able to work it out and know exactly what they're doing. You can see he's listening to all the francolins that are calling around us. What's behind you? Nothing's behind you there, just the wind. Satisfied he's explored all those options. And his ears are still quite big for him, as well as his paws. I mean, he's still growing into them. And remember, he's not a fully grown individual by any stretch of the imagination. These guys only really reach fully grown at around sort of 5-6 years old. So he's got a long way to go until he reaches fully grown size. And he will be impressive wherever he ends up. And I just hope that he keeps the same sort of dark coloration that he's got in striking black markings, and those eyes stay as vivid as what they are now. Because if they do, the lady leopards are going to be a firm fan of this individual, and especially if he can dominate an area with high density of females, he'll be a busy boy, I think. Of course, leopards don't really look at that at all. They don't care how ugly another leopard is, as long as he's dominant and is able to protect their cubs. That's what they want out of a leopard. They're not about looks, so hopefully he will be able to survive and be able to still look good doing it. Oh, bless you. Take care. You were asking how Safari lost her eye. Well, funny enough, her eye was still there. It was just very badly damaged, and I can't remember the exact story now. It's such a long time since I've actually thought about this, but it was something to do with, I can't remember if it was another leopard, maybe Mafufanyan. Yes, I think it was Mafufanyan, and her and Mafufanyan had a fight, and he lashed out and clawed her in the eye, and the eye then unfortunately was damaged, and it always used to swell and get full of blood and infections. And she used to, I once remember watching her hunting, and she ran into a branch, and it pierced the eye, and all of this stuff came out, and it was really unpleasant, and you could see she was really not in good shape. She really didn't like it at all, and that was when she was already 18, so she got a lot older, and she was not in the best shape of her life, and that must have hurt a lot. But she used to regularly find her with her eye weeping, and it's swollen, and it really didn't look very nice at all. But she was just the most wonderful leopard, and I cherish every moment I got to spend with her. She was such a legend of this particular area, and I really wish at that stage, Safari Live was running, because she was a very special character, and she the fact that she managed to survive to the age that she did was just absolutely phenomenal. We only caught the back end of her life, but like I say, I mean, some of the guys here saw her for all of those 19 years that she was alive, and I mean, that's a long time for a leopard. Sounded like there was something coming down the bank behind us, but I can't see anything at this stage, so I think all is okay. So Tumba's certainly watching around. Oh, a little shake of the head. I don't think he's going to be down for too long. I think he's going to start moving just now, and maybe he's going to groom himself a little bit longer and just work out what's going on, and then he's going to start getting up and going. There's quite fidgety. There we go. So fidgety. He's been yawning. Look at how long his legs are still. He hasn't quite grown into those legs yet. And let's see just how relaxed he's gotten. He's never used to walk between vehicles. No, you see, he's not going to walk between vehicles, but he is going to walk right past me and not going to worry about me at all. No, you don't jump on that bonnet. You're not allowed to do that. I just have to remind him of his manners, because he had a little thought there, I think, where he was like, "Ooh, I wonder if I can get on top there and just jump over there and all the way onto the other side without having to go down and back up again." But I'm glad you thought twice about it. Oh, are you going to lie right there for us? You wonderful thing. That is absolutely phenomenal. He is lying no more than, I would say, a meter away from me at eye level, and just staring at Senzo and I and his own reflection probably in the camera. There's the edge of the car, and it is really the most wonderful thing to have a leopard at that distance just staring at you. It's ridiculous. We are spoiled here. We really are spoiled by the leopards of the Sabi Sands. They allow us the most intimate views. It's fantastic to be able to see things like this. He looks very regal up there, doesn't he? Oh boy. What's wrong? Amazing how he's just watching us. Astrid, we're looking at my favorite cats, all of the younger generation. I have a struggle. Leopards in general are my favorite cats, all of them. But I have a struggle with selecting a particular one. But of the young generation is Tumba, of the females Tundi, and of the males Anderson. So the big boys is Anderson, and those are my three favorites that are around and alive. And they're all incredible animals, and it's amazing actually that two of them are mother and son basically. So it's pretty cool that they're around. Maybe that's something to do with it. Maybe that's why I like them, is because it is mother and son, and he takes after his mom a bit in some ways, and he really is just a beautiful individual. How could you not enjoy looking at a face like that? You're putting on a show this afternoon. You know that. Wow, very special. I wonder what he's watching. He seems to be watching something moving around behind us. I just keep hearing something kind of in the grass. Maybe it's a little Franklin that's moving around behind me in the grassy areas, because I keep hearing a rustling, and then he looks that way. I can't see anything, so it's not a big animal, but whatever it is nice. And there you can see the sunset in the background, so that is a beautiful shot, Senzo. It's sunset, leopard, mulawati, tall trees. About as good as it gets, really. Maybe if I just put a bit of light on, Senzo, you'll be able to expose better for your sunset, and you can bring out the colours, because the colours are quite nice there. There we go. How's that? Isn't that wonderful? I think so. To me, anyway. It is. I hope that all of you are enjoying it just as much as well. Look at how his ears are also working. It's amazing here. He's gone from fairly sleepy to fairly awake. The ears are twitching all the time. He's looking around. It's almost like he knows now's the time that he needs to be attentive and watch out, and that he needs to start looking for various food items. He really is in a different sort of mode now than what we saw from him maybe 10 minutes ago. He's a lot more aware of his surrounding, and a lot more kind of taking in of what's going on. He's not just sort of lying down and aimlessly looking around. He's a little bit more focused now. You can see those eyes are really kind of staring into what's happening and making sure he's analyzing everything that's going on. And you're close when we can have a visual of his eyes at that distance. Isn't that just ridiculous? We've got basically both eyes, and they are staring right at us. Hey, little Tumba? Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Do you like them when we are close by, Tumba? It's funny with these cars, how a lot of the time with these smaller vehicles, the Leopards seem to be a lot more comfortable than the other cars. He was walking towards the other vehicle and he just decided, nope, I'm not going that way, I'm going to go this side. And he's now lying on the bank, like I say, right next to us and just staring at us. He's really kind of just looks at Senzo, then he looks at me, looks at the camera every now and then, but is not fazed by us at all, which is just phenomenal to me. The fact that he's really not worried by us is quite special. We are spoiled to be sitting next to a leopard, a wild leopard. Remember, this is a cub that 6 months ago he was not really interested in vehicles, didn't want to know anything about vehicles, was trying to run away from vehicles, and yet where we are now, I mean, it's as close as you're ever going to get to a wild leopard, or you would ever want to get to a wild leopard, and he is at complete ease. He's in no way stressed by our presence. You can see his ears are perky, his tail is flat, he's not even swishing his tail. Every now and then he has a little look at us, but otherwise couldn't be sort of fazed by the fact that we're right next to him. It's an amazing thing to see. And it just goes to show, with a bit of respect and a little bit of kind of caring and watching of what we do, animals can be fairly trusting, and we can be able to get into situations like this where we can view them without impacting on them and staying right close. Oh, are you stretching out now to rest? Okay. And look at how thick that neck is starting to get. He's starting to get a nice big broad shoulder area and is really getting quite big there. You see, when male leopards start to grow, their heads almost look as though they go straight onto the body and there's no real separation. Females tend to have that thinning of the neck, whereas with him you can see he's kind of got that squat neck area that is very swollen, and it's going to be a very large lad. His head will eventually grow into that neck a little bit more than what it is now. The only problem with having him this close is he's bringing all the flies, so all those biting flies that were irritating him are now buzzing around our head at the moment and causing a little bit of trouble. So hopefully they will decide to move on and leave us alone, because I can do without the flies. It's not the best part of having them around, is that they actually sting and hurt a little bit. Chitty Chatty Meg, I think there's a couple of reasons why he's so comfortable around us. Firstly, yes, because we have been following him around for quite some time. We've been spending a lot of time with him in this phase where he's almost becoming independent, and so the vehicle, he hears the sound, he knows that sound, and he knows that it's not a threat. That's also coupled with the fact that this vehicle is much smaller. We do not have a tracker on our front seat, and we have far less movement in the form of people. It's just Senzo and myself on here. There is not 8 or 9 or 10 people that are moving around and fidgeting and clicking of cameras and going crazy and dropping things and talking. It's just 2 people, and we're a relatively small object in comparison to those bigger vehicles, and that's maybe why he's a lot more aware of his surroundings. Now, what have you spotted, Tumba? I think he spotted that warthog from earlier. Yes, he has spotted the warthog from earlier. There's the warthog on the other side. But, Tumba, that warthog is too big for you. You can't eat that, I'm afraid. You can see it's not going to stop him, though. He's watching with intense patience, and he'll know that warthog goes into that burrow and into that mound where we were earlier. But like I say, it's going to be far too big for him. It's not going to stop him, though. Off he goes to go and try and hunt this warthog. See, look where he's walking, straight towards the burrow. He knows where that warthog is going, and if he's clever and he positions himself right, he might be able to have a go at it, but he's going to have to be careful. A warthog is a dangerous animal and not something he must mess around with at all. But you see, he's walking straight to where that warthog was this morning. He's not even going anywhere near where the warthog is. The warthog is to my left, but he's going straight towards where he knows that warthog is moving and heading towards, and he's going to try and cut that warthog off using an area that he can sit in and basically camouflage much better. It's very clever already. So our young boys are showing some promise. Even though they're younger and they're not as experienced and they're smaller, they are showing some incredible hunting techniques already. But there he goes, he's already up the road. Just don't walk too fast, Tumba, otherwise you're going to catch yourself, or that warthog's going to see you. Now let's see, are we in for another hunt again? Proud cat mama, when they go for a kill, it depends on what they're going for, where they bite first. If they're going for something like an impala, there he's trotting, so I'm just going to try and keep up with him. But if they're going for something like an impala, tiger, steenbok, antelope species, generally for the throat. If they're going for something like a warthog, you'll often find they grab it by the chest and they actually eat through its chest plate towards its heart and try and get to the heart, because the tusks of a warthog, there goes the warthog, it's running. Now where's Tumba? I saw him running up here as well, so I don't know if there he is. He's just watching the warthogs running past him. What are you doing, Tumba? I think he spooked the warthog, because there's the warthog and there's where he is, and he's not even facing that warthog anymore. He's now looking in completely the opposite direction. Oh no, now he's also in the warthog. But I'm sure that warthog has spotted him. Yes, you can hear the warthog is alarm calling. It's snorting and sniffing at him. Are we going to see the warthog getting some revenge and chasing the leopard? Can you hear the warthog? Look, the warthog's coming back. It's almost as if to say, I'm not having any of this. I need to get into my burrow. I need to go to sleep. It's getting dark. And it's coming back towards where Tumba is. You can actually hear these kind of growls that are coming, and that's actually from the warthog. It's not from Tumba at all. This is an incredible interaction between the two of them. It's not something we witness very often at all. You can see Tumba's not really too perturbed by all of this nonsense. He's like, whatever, warthog, you can shout and do your thing, I'm not interested. The warthog is very upset because it now is getting caught out of its hole in the dark, and that means it's up for a lot of problems, and it's going to have to try and find itself somewhere else to go and spend the night. Also, this warthog is not sure where to go. You can see there's a gust of wind going around. You can see how it's stopping and now sniffing. The wind is blowing directly from Tumba towards it. Now it's coming trotting back again. It's a big female, this. I wonder what's going to happen. Tumba's laid down now. He's in the grass, just sitting. So I don't know if this warthog can actually see him anymore. And that's dangerous for the warthog, because the warthog might make a run for the hole thinking that it's safe. You can see it, look, it's putting up its nose to sniff, trying to pick up any scent that's on the wind, that there might be an indication of where this leopard is lying. But Tumba is really well hidden in a section of grass, and if this warthog makes a little trot across the front of him, maybe, just maybe, he might have a go. But I was saying earlier that they'll try and target the chest of a warthog because of those tusks. You see the tusks in front? Those are very dangerous for a leopard. And it's going right in front of him. Now we should get a two-shot of the warthog and Tumba. There we go. So there's Tumba hidden in the grass. Warthog slowly running in front of him. But he doesn't seem too interested in the warthog. I don't think the warthog's... Maybe the warthog's seen him now because he just turned his head. Tumba, what are you doing? There goes the warthog again. I think the warthog's trying to work out a way around this to get, like I say, to the hole so that it can get to some semblance of safety. Once it's down the hole, it's in the pound seat, so to speak, because it goes reverses down, tusks face forward, and it only takes the most powerful of leopards to drag a warthog out of its hole. It's almost like trying to pull a cork out of a bottle that just doesn't want to come out. And so you'll find that only the likes of Anderson and Tingana would be strong enough to even pull that out. Tumba wouldn't have the strength yet. So if this warthog can get to its little hole, then it's going to have a situation where it will be safe. But that's why it's panicking, is it's not sure which way to go at all. How cool is this though? Our little boy leopards have given us the most ridiculous sightings the last few days. We've had Hosanna stalking twice, or 3-4 times actually, if I think about it. Little Tumba is starting to work it out for himself as well, that he needs to start chasing animals, albeit he's not nearly as successful as what Hosanna is at this stage, but still he's getting interest in things, and he's watching and he's learning and he's gaining valuable experience on how to hunt. And so it's an amazing process to watch, and they really are spoiling us. And it just goes to show you sit with a cat that is sleepy and is not really doing anything, and you show a bit of patience, and you can get the most crazy sightings out of them. And that's one of the best things about the job that we do, is that, and one of the things that I always try and tell guests when they come is that patience will be rewarded. If you sit and you allow things to happen, that's when you get your best sightings, because animals are not like us as people. They're not instant gratification kind of beings where they just want things to happen straight away and right now, and they're not sitting here waiting for us to come around the corner to put on a show. They really are animals that will sort of tick to their own time, and we've just got to fit in with that. And so if you're patient and you spend hours with animals, you then get rewarded with a lot more of these interactions and sightings like this, where we're watching two of these animals basically in a chess game for their lives at the end of the day, because Tumba, he's got to eat to survive, and well, this warthog has to get into its house or its home to not be out and roaming around in the dark, and therefore susceptible to things like lion and hyena and bigger male leopards that could be roaming around. So it's almost a game of chess as this warthog tries to run up and down and work out which way is it going to go, and try and find a way to get to that hole so that Tumba doesn't chase it. Now you see it's running back towards where Tumba is. Tumba's making no effort to hide though. It's not like he's putting his head down and going flat like we've seen from Osana the last few days. He's just kind of got his head up watching this warthog run by there. Now he's got his head down. So you see now, he's just got his ears flattened and he's watching. Now that warthog, I doubt, can see too much of him unless it knows that actually that's where the leopard was. You see, it's not as sure as it was earlier, but the distance is still too far. So that distance is too far for a leopard. Something like a cheetah or wild dogs most certainly would chase that warthog now, even maybe lions, but a leopard, it is far too far from them. They do not have the speed to keep up with that warthog, and you see the warthog still knows something's not right. The wind is also not good here. The wind is blowing from Tumba to that warthog and is keeping him from getting any closer. That warthog is picking up his scent the whole time. Sky, you say that you think Tumba is simply observing the warthog for future hunting possibilities. Yes, it's pretty much exactly what he's doing, but he's not going to say no. If that warthog stumbles upon him, he's going to jump on it to try and grab it. At the end of the day, it's food, and so he's watching and he's learning and he's trying to pick up ways of hunting this, and he's got to grow a little bit before he'll be an effective warthog hunter. Unfortunately, warthogs are strong animals, and it requires a lot of size and strength for a leopard to go after them, and so he has to be able to bulk up before he's going to really challenge big warthogs like this. But he still won't say no. If the warthog ran straight towards him, he might tackle it, or he might run. It's difficult to say. I've seen leopards running from warthogs from time to time as well. So he is learning, no doubt. He's working it out, and he's going to learn a valuable experience from this. He's not going to catch this warthog. This warthog is very aware something is wrong. It's trotting up and down and is checking things out very carefully, and it knows there's a leopard here. I mean, it saw the leopard. It's not like it's a warthog that doesn't know that there's a threat. It's definitely aware there's a threat, and so the chance of him catching it is pretty much zero at this stage. You can see the warthog has now rounded him and is going to head off towards that burrow, and he's really got very little chance now to go after it. He might try and trot after it to catch up and try and kind of keep up with it, given that he's an eager young individual, but he is learning valuable lessons from this and how to go about hunting warthogs. And there goes the warthog off into the distance, and little Tumba watches willingly. How cool is that? Macy, no, they would probably... Oh, here's a nyala. There's a whole bunch of nyala coming now. Hang on a second. I was just about to go around to Tumba, but I'm just going to reposition, because there's a whole lot of nyala that are coming past and coming out into this clearing, and I don't want to get between Tumba and the nyala because I don't want either one to be obscured. But that warthog, unfortunately, no, I don't think it would get any help. There's no other warthogs that I've seen around here, and it only will be if the warthogs are in the immediate vicinity and they're related, would they try and help out and keep the predator at bay. In a situation like this, there's nobody here. Nobody's going to come running to a screaming warthog and try and help it out, because at the end of the day it's going to have a tough time of it. But there the nyala are. Tumba's not even seen the nyala. He's busy walking off, and I wonder if the nyala are going to spot him. Tumba, look this way. Nope, he's missed them completely. He's literally just walked off and has not spotted those nyala at all. Nothing whatsoever. Oh, Tumba, you need to look around, my boy. You're very aware for your warthog, but you slightly missed the boat on the nyala, I'm afraid. Now, where is he gone? I saw him walking and slinking off to my right hand side here. Yeah, there he is. Slowly but surely meandering his way through the grass. Wonder if he's going to go back to his little scrub hair, if there's any sign of that scrub hair left that he can potentially go and eat. Might be going that way. We'll just meander along behind him and see where he goes and have a little follow. I want to leave him fairly shortly now to go and see the Birmingham males. I believe they've come south a little bit and are now very visible from the cut line. So I do want to go and hang around with them just for the last 15 minutes or so. So I will leave him shortly, but I just want to see where he goes from here for tomorrow morning, so that I know where he is exactly. But he's still looking around, still aware. And now he's heading back towards that warthog hole that we were talking about earlier. Ali, yes, I have witnessed quite a few leopard kills right in front of me. I've witnessed steenbok, duiker, mongoose, warthog, piglets, birds multiple times, monitor lizards, snake, what else? Various things. The only thing I've never seen, and this you'll find all quite ridiculous because every guide in the Sabi Sands has seen it except for me, is a leopard killing an adult impala. Can you believe that I have never ever seen that? I've seen them killing baby impalas, I've seen them getting there and the impala still kicking, but I've never actually seen a leopard in all these years and all this time spent with leopards, still yet to see a leopard take a fully grown impala. It is ridiculous. I don't know how it's happened. I have no idea. So Ali in final control, my Ali, so different Ali to the last Ali, wants to know if I remember the rhino not the rhino, because the rhino wouldn't hoist, but the leopard that hoisted a rhino at Lion Sands. So yes, I do remember that quite clearly. It was pretty incredible. There is a video of it on YouTube, I think, somewhere. And basically, yeah, this leopard there was a leopard by the name of Tumba, and he took a rhino calf up a tree, which is just pretty insane if you ask me. So that was pretty cool to watch and pretty amazing to see, and given that it is a rhino themed kind of day, and exactly what kind of happened. So I'm just going to go creep forward a little bit because we should be able to see a little bit better through this thicket. This is where the carcass was and where he was feeding. Now of course it is getting quite dark, so we'll probably try and switch to IR just to be able to see what's going on while he's behind those bushes. So if it goes black and white, you know why. You can see it's very dark for the camera now, and it's going to be tough to focus in those kind of things without going IR. But it looks like a little bit of meat still there where he is now. There looks like a bit of a carcass, so I wonder if he's not just going to finish up the last little bit now quickly. But this must be covered in flies and insects and ants, and he's going to have to shake all of those off before he starts feeding. Nope, we've realized there's not really much food there. This is all fur that we've got in this area. Sniffing around, just checking to see if there isn't any food. Sorry, little Tumba, that there isn't much there for you. But maybe he'll find himself another meal tonight. Right, I think what I'm going to do is probably leave him now, because it's going to take me some time to get towards those lions. And like I say, we've had such a spoiled time with Tumba today. We've spent a lot of time with him. He's still staying same place, and I'm going to try and head to those lions, and hopefully we're going to get a finish to our day with a shouting 4 Birmingham males in our ears. So that's what I'm going to try and do. It's been an absolute treat with Tumba, so we're going to just leave him right where he is right now. Very cool sighting though. That was as good as it gets. I see he's found a bit of skin now that he's just dragging out, and actually, so I'm going to go back, Senzo, if you maybe just want to have a quick look at him starting to feed a bit. So he's just got himself a little bit of a piece of skin that he's just crunching down on. You can see there he's just having a little bit of food. So I don't think he's going to go too far from here. I'm sure we'll find him here again tomorrow morning. We'll definitely come and have a little look, but I just wanted to give you a quick glimpse of him having this little meal and settling down a little bit. So that's us, and now I'm going to try and head towards the Birmingham Boys and see if we can get a much better view than what we got today, because it is really not every day that we get all 4 Birminghams together and we get to be able to see them. So it's a special thing, and I can tell you from this morning when I left camp, when they roar, all 4 of them, it is loud and it is amazing, and it is worth every second of sitting with them if they are sleepy and leaving a leopard even for that. So I know that it's a strange thing, and I will probably never repeat that ever again, that I'm leaving a leopard for a lion. I'm pretty sure Ali in Final Control is about to pass out from hearing that news, but I am going to do it just because the sound of male lions roaring is just something that everybody needs to experience, and apparently Ali say it's true. Had to have woken her up for her to have spoken first. Speaking. That's not a very good word. Come on, Tristan, back into it. That's what happens when you talk for a little bit, is sometimes your brain goes faster than your mouth, and then you end up saying words that don't exist. Right, now I do need to radio first to say that I am leaving Tumba. Secondly, to find out if I can actually even go to these lions, because I haven't even radioed them. I've been trying to listen half-heartedly to the radio while we've been with Tumba to find out what's been going on, but I can't really obviously hear and speak at the same time. I'm a man after all, and well, men, we can't do 2 things at once, so apparently, according to ladies, and so we'll stick with our theme from yesterday afternoon in that we should listen to the ladies, and it's much easier and safer for our health if we do. Sessions leaving the lock of Tumba is static on that scrubbear kill just off Spaghetti Crossing, open lock. How many stations are with the Birminghams? How many stations are on that lock? Yeah, go ahead, Peter. So sorry guys, I'm just on the radio talking to Peter. So I'm just listening to what Peter's saying to me. Right, so I'm going to head off there. Apparently nobody's with those Birminghams, so thanks very much, Peter. So while I do that, let's send you back to Tayla McCurdy in the Mara and see what she's been up to with her IR lights.
Hello again. I just need to focus on the road up ahead. There's a herd of elephants that are moving up and down the road, so I just want to watch them. I've dimmed my lights. I don't really want to put any lights on them at all. I'm just using my spotlight just to illuminate the pathway slightly. Come on, off you go, across the road. Okay, now this is tricky because there's a mom and baby over there. I don't know what they're going to do. Hi guys, please don't charge me. No, elephants don't really like the cars at night. They're not as calm and relaxed around them typically as they are during the day. But they seem okay with me. They're just munching away most of the time. And it's just because they can't see as well. And you probably find they're a little bit more on edge. A couple of them talking. I said I'm sorry. I'm just scanning around me. Okay, I think what we'll do is we'll take this opportunity to shoot forward while there is a clearance in the road. Did you see all the insects flying across the screen? There were so many of them. There's all these midges out. I don't even know how I'm not getting them in my eyes, but I feel like I probably jinxed myself now. Thank you, elephants. Okay, we can put lights back on now. The pathway is clear. So I thought what we'll do is try and go check on that jackal then again. The question about the safety of rhinos in comparison to what they're doing in South Africa versus what they're doing in Kenya. Well, one thing that South Africa has managed to get right is funding. Most of the anti-poaching units, whether it's private or government, are fairly well funded. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of different things we can go into. I'm not going to go into all of them right now because otherwise I'll be talking the hind leg off a donkey and it'll be forever. So basically, they've got that right in terms of providing vehicles, in terms of providing helicopters and thermal cameras and drones and all these different ways that they are sort of, I think it's help see at night, obviously that's when poaching is happening most. In Kenya they're doing the same thing, however I don't know if it's quite on the scale as South Africa. You know, the more funding you have, the more anti-poaching teams you can have, the more people you can have on the ground, the more vehicles you can have on the ground, the more aeroplanes you can have in the sky, all these different types of things. So I think it's fairly similar, and they seem to be doing a good job. I mean, haven't heard of too many rhinos being poached. I did see there was one poached last year though, a black rhino within this area. I don't know how many they've lost in total. It's very difficult to try and find this information. Even in South Africa, it's so hard. Unless it's, you know, plastered all over the news, and not all the rhinos that get poached are. It's fairly well hidden. People tend to keep it hush-hush. So, it's not, obviously it's not a nice thing to talk about, but it's important that we do talk about it. I'm popping my earpiece back in, because if we don't talk about it, then people don't know, and people don't understand what's going on. So I think the biggest problem within Africa is probably just trying to get funding. Like South Africa struggled in the beginning, and now they've managed to get it right. Lots of private organizations, you know, that do self-fundraising, and I'm sure that will catch on, and hopefully those private organizations will start branching into other African countries other than just South Africa, and then offer support, offer guidance, you know, tell people what works, what doesn't work, to try and get the maximum funding that you need for whatever you're using that money for, whether it's paying staff salaries or buying military grade equipment. You know, there's a number of different things that go behind it. So yeah, KJ, wondering if I think the behavior of rhinos is changing due to poaching. What do you? I need a little bit more about that, but what I will talk about quickly is, when was it? I think it was 2001. In this particular area, there was one rhino left. One female black rhino, from what I read the other day. And she was very aggressive. She didn't tolerate vehicles very much, or people. She used to hide away. And maybe that had something to do with the fact that, well, rhinos were being slaughtered in this area all over Africa. It happens all over the world. Wherever there's rhinos, they unfortunately have a big X above their head. And that could have had something to do with it. So I think in areas where we interact with them well, and, you know, constant positive reenaction, the type of thing that we always talk about, leaving sightings on a good note, animals learning not to fear people. We're not hunting them anymore, but again, poachers don't really help with that. Yeah, possibly, but I don't think it would be a significant change on their behavior. I can't say that I've ever noticed anything. Black rhino are just known to be shy. I've been lucky that I've worked with some very relaxed one that became habituated to vehicles, constantly seeing them on a regular basis. And then I've seen other black rhinos that, you know, literally just pick up your scent in the southern Sabi sands and will run and don't stop running. So, you know, it's hard to say. That to me is just individual rhinos having different experiences with cars and vehicles. And again, like you and I, some of us are shy, some of us are more outgoing. I'm pretty sure the same thing happens with rhinos. We most certainly know, you see it with elephants, you see it with lions, you see the hyenas, the different personalities coming out. So it's a hard one to answer. I think if you studied rhinos in various areas that had from severe poaching to almost nothing, then maybe you could compare, but it would have to be over a long period of time as well to be able to make or comment on your observations. It's a tough one, but that's, well, food for thought. That's just what I think, and maybe my opinion will change in 10 years' time the more I spend with rhinos. I'll answer it again in 10 years and let you know if I've changed my mind. Okay, I think it's around here somewhere. Let's see here. Now, oh, there's a car behind us. I see the lights. I see my shadow. Let's let them pass us. And we'll carry on. It's the rhino people! Bye, rhino people! Anti-poaching. I don't know why I said rhino people. But our fantastic anti-poaching teams going out on their night patrols this evening here in the Mara. I'm sorry, Chantal, please may I have that entire question again. I'm also concentrating because I'm trying to find the jackal den now for all of you. I might have to pull out the mobile device here. Let's have a look. Just going to stop. Now, a question from Ellie while I try and multitask and try and search for this pin quickly because it's dark. You're wondering if lions and leopards are afraid of rhinos because of their huge size. Yes. Except a little rhino is probably very enticing to a leopard or a lion or pride of lions. But, they might have a go and try and go for them, but I don't think that will last for very long before mom gets annoyed. So I had a really cool sighting the one day. It was actually quite interesting. And I posted lots of pictures of wild dogs. We had the most amazing sighting with wild dogs. We followed them the whole morning. They killed a daycare and a bushbuck. The puppies came running underneath my car. They were playing with the leftovers that the adults had brought back, basically as toys. And anyway, this rhino and a calf, very young calf, stumbled into the sighting, and the dogs ran straight towards them. And it was quite funny because, Manu, we're on the right track. I think we are. We just got to go up a little bit. Head south. Make a U-turn, says my phone. Let's go a little bit further. It's up ahead. So, now I forgot where I was going for that. Oh, yeah, so the wild dogs actually chased after them, and the wild dog is nowhere near the size of a leopard or a lion, and they were harassing Mom. Mom wouldn't even care. She put her head down, she ate, and this poor little rhino, who was only a few months old, was petrified. I've never seen a rhino look petrified like that. Ears as pricked up as they can, eyes bulging out of its skull just about, and Mom just sort of standing there. Every now and then she would charge at one of them, and eventually the dogs got bored and moved on. They weren't too interested. Lions and leopards, you might find a pride of lions again harassing a female, and then giving up, becoming bored, because a rhino can quite easily kill a lion or a leopard. Okay, 500 meters. Okay, we can go a little bit quicker then. Okay, we just keep checking. It's still a little bit further. Sorry, I'm just going to focus because I'm so surprised as to how skittish the adults are and the pups are, considering their den is right on a main road. Like, it actually blows my mind. You'd think that they'd be used to the sounds of the car. So we've got to be quick. When I think that I see eyes or ears, we actually must just stop and take a view from the distance, and we have to start this habituation process. Perhaps they don't mind the fact that the cars are constantly moving. Maybe they feel like they haven't been spotted, and that of course changes when you switch off. It's like when we're looking for warthogs and things. Sometimes it's best to leave the car running, because then they just stare at you. Otherwise you switch off, they turn, they have a look, and then they run off into the distance. You don't get a nice view. Okay, we're almost there. But I still see some animals up ahead. It might be the herd of buffalo that I was telling you about. Now, a question about rhinos. I think it's here. There's eyes there. Yes, there's a jackal. So my dust. Drop down a little bit. Just keep, you'll see there should be a head that pokes up in the grass. There we go. Can you see them moving? Straight ahead. There is a jackal. Is it a jackal? It looks like it. Might be one of the adults. I'm just going to take the spotlight off. I want to see if I can get any more reflection. The grass is so long here as well, so it's actually a good spot. They're quite concealed. Okay. Is that it? Yeah, let's just have a close look at it. Let's just see if it is one of the adults. It's straight center of your screen. Up against the bush. There we go. I'll try and put my light on it. Up there. Yeah, there we go. Center. It was moving there now. It's amazing how camouflage they are. Again, anything can disappear in the grass. Okay, let's go up a little bit further forward. Let's see if I can find anyone else, because this is not really helpful from this far away. I'm sure it's coming up soon. Okay, so you see those eyes, Manu? Just want to check here, because that's not where the little pups were. I'm going to pretend like I'm going past, and then I'm going to switch off. There they are. There's the little ones. I'm going to take it off. There they are. There's a little jackal pup for you. Now, hopefully they'll relax. So I'm not going to talk too loudly. I want them to get used to the fact that I've actually stopped the car. Now, I suspect that they're going back down again. I suspect that it's black-backed jackal from a brief sighting that I did have with the of the adults. Now we've got a car coming. Manu, I'm going to move to the other side of the road. Sorry, there's a vehicle coming, and I just want to try and sit in a spot and let them go the other side of me. And hopefully these little ones haven't run away. Unfortunately, this is a very, very busy road. Let me try scan again. Are they there? Are they still there? There. You've just got to go where that spotlight was. You'll see their little ears sticking up. Hello. Well, there's two. Wonderful. Now, I believe, James Richard, you're very happy to see the jackals. I think they're one of your favorite animals. Me too. I'm also ecstatic because I was very sad when, oh, there they go, they're moving. When the first den that I found, look how tiny they are, unfortunately wasn't active anymore. They moved away. So these are much smaller. Don't you think they're much tinier than the one that we saw the last time? Almost half the size. So, like I said to you, I suspected that other jackal was at the age where it was about to start following mom and dad around, foraging for itself, or at least learning, you know, what everything is. And I think these guys are a lot younger. Maybe about maybe about 5 or 6 weeks old, I would say about that. Because they're moving around quite comfortably. They're sitting outside the den. Normally for the first 2 weeks or so, they'll actually just stay in the den and not come out. And the adults or mom will have to go in and suckle them. But the fact that they're venturing around, doing a little bit of exploring, is a nice sign. So they're not too young. And this is the best sighting I've had so far. And also the first time, I think that's one of the adults that hasn't run away. So that's really, really great news for you and I. Let me just see. Who else is here? If I can see another adult. Oh my goodness, the bugs are real. I'm actually going to I'm just stretching over to turn the presenter monitor off because it's just attracting all the bugs. And the bugs are landing on me. And I don't like them very much. But there they are. So I'm in two minds if that's an adult or a youngster. Because their ears, do you think it's an adult, Manu? Manu thinks it's an adult. Let's go with Manu. Look at that. This is so cool. So they'll start being, yeah, there we go. Now you can see that it's an adult. Oh, look at this. Oh, there's a lion roaring. Very far away. What's that adult doing? Run, little one, run. There's a whole group of lions roaring on the other side of the road. I thought that's maybe why it reacted, but I don't think that's the case at all now. Why do you look like you're scared of your own cub? Your own pup. I keep saying cub because we've been spending so much time with the hyenas and the lions. But they are puppies. Oh, look, look, look. Almost as if it was being reprimanded. Did you see that? It looked like that adult tried to grab that little one by the scruff of the neck, as if to say, hey, you be careful of that big car over there. I don't know what they are. Sometimes they're not nice to us. Sometimes they are. Oh, that is so sweet. That's awesome interaction. I've never actually seen a young jackal pup being reprimanded like that before, and it went very submissive too. It almost rolled onto its back to say, oh, I'm sorry, Cal, go back to my den. It's probably been told to not venture too far away from the den. And the adults wouldn't necessarily want to sit at the entrance. They do spend quite a bit of time around the den, especially during the day when they're not as active. But it is important that, so say if a lion were to come through here, you'll find that the adults will sit just off to the side, and this is so cool, and then move off, because if they hang around, the predator might know that there's little ones around. Anyways, we'll sit here for a bit longer and see what these sweet things get up to. Jamie is yielding her spotlight. She's using it like a lightsaber. What is she going to find with it?
I wonder what I'm going to find indeed. A very good evening to all of you. I have transported myself from being the disembodied voice that narrated over the river cameras, and we've gone all the way down the escarpment. We've come all the way along through Mararianta, which is a little village, and through Musiara Gate, and we're now lurking around the famous marsh, which of course is where the marsh lions became famous, the marsh pride of lions. And tonight we are on the lookout for the Bilashaka boys, the 6 young males that I have actually never seen, nor in fact do I really know where they hang out. So we're flying blind, unfortunately, or fortunately actually. Let's go with fortunately. Fortunately, Shadrach, our wondrous dangerous mechanic, fixed our vehicle. We're going to find lions here. There's lots of stuff around, and we're going to spend, Craig and myself and our ranger John, who's sitting in the back and who's new to this whole thing, we're going to go and find stuff that's happening. We're going to be out until about 12, 1, I don't know, but that is the plan. So don't forget to keep an eye out on our Facebook page, where if we find anything exciting, we will be going live. So until I see you then, I'm going to send you back over to Tristan, who's got one very fat, very happy lion.
We do indeed. We've got all 4 of the Birmingham Boys that are lying all around us. So Nena closest to me on my right hand side, and Fumo on my back far left in the distance, which is difficult to see him, but he's right at the back over there. So that's him lying all the way that side. And then Tinyo and Nsuku are on my left hand side, but are pretty much non-visible from where I am. So they're not really that visible. They're all sleeping and fast asleep, but they have come south onto Djuma, and I was hoping that we would see them starting to roar. So I'm hoping that within the next few minutes they will wake up and at least give some sort of a roar. They don't even have to wake up. As we know with male lions, they'll roar from their sides and from their bellies, and they will just kind of let it out from there. And it would just be so great where we are right now if they did, because we would literally be getting surround sound from all directions of lions roaring, which is the best way to do it. Now, I don't think you can believe that lion looks as though it's almost dead, but that lion was head up about 2 minutes ago. It had its head up and was watching and looking around, and so it's amazing how quickly they go from awake to passed out and sleeping like they are now. So that's Nena. Is very, very sleepy. And interestingly enough, apparently Nena last night crossed into Manyaleti, so it just shows you how far these lions walk in a day, or in a night should I say. So he was left going into Manyaleti last night and is then all the way back down on Djuma in the morning, because we know that they were here already this morning when we left. So he covered that distance in the space of about 6-7 hours. He moved all the way through Manyaleti and back again, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about how fast they can actually go. But I suspect, unfortunately, that we are not going to get very much out of these 4. I was really hoping that with the time that we were here and the fact that it's now dark has enveloped them, that maybe, just maybe, we were going to get lucky and we were going to get a sighting of them roaring at us, but it looks as though we're going to get very little from the 4 boys. Good to see them though, and hopefully tomorrow morning they will all still be around. I somehow doubt it though. We know the Birminghams don't spend that much time together, so I somehow doubt we're going to see all 4 of them. Peyton, you say you really hope that we see all 4 of the B-boys together and get a really good shot of them. Well, it would be nice, wouldn't it, getting all 4 of them walking down the road towards us tomorrow morning. That would be wonderful. But given how far Nena walked yesterday, like I say, seriously doubt we're going to have a situation where we're going to see all 4 of them tomorrow morning. And I even probably doubt that we'll even see any of them by tomorrow morning. We know that these guys cross Djuma in the space of an hour sometimes, so it's not really that promising for them to be around. And the only thing is that they do have slightly foolish bellies, and that might mean that they do sleep away this warm evening for quite some time before they head off anywhere, but I highly doubt it. I think the best chance of seeing all 4 of them is on the dam cam. I reckon they might head south from here, although they've just drank at Tumboti Dam, so the chances of them going for water is also not really that promising either. So I'd look out on the dam cam. They might head that way, and maybe if we don't see them, you might at least hear them from the dam cam side, but it seems as though they are passed out completely. Now we only have a few more minutes, so while Nena's sleeping like that, I'm just going to quickly take you to go and see Tinyo and Nsuku, because we at least had a quick visual of Mfumo. So I'm going to try and quickly get you a visual of the other 2 B-boys just to finish off our evening drive. They are somewhere in this general vicinity. There is that one there? No, it's not. I thought it was one over here. Apparently all 4 of them are here. Ah, there he is. I had somewhere here. I knew there would be somewhere in this general vicinity. So here is Tinyo, by the looks of things. I think it's Tinyo over here. And then I don't know where Nsuku is. He's spread out somewhere here. But it just goes to show you how spread out these guys do lie from one another. It's not like they're lying anywhere near each other. It's like trying to find a needle in the haystack with these forests to see who's who and where they are. But this is Tinyo that we've got here, definitely. So Nsuku's the only one that I can't see, and I don't know, maybe he's lying even further west than what Tinyo is. But unfortunately, it is that time of the day where we are starting to wind down to the end of the show. The boys are all fast asleep. There's none of them that have even got a head up that looks promising, like they might even roar. So we're probably just going to start meandering our way back home and try and get back to Happiness's dinner. I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful dinner. It's been a warm afternoon, so feeling a little peckish, I must say. Hopefully our boys are peckish, and there's a buffalo that drifts onto Djuma, and that keeps all 4 of them here, and we get them in the morning, and hopefully we'll get them roaring, and that's all we can ask for, really. It's been such a wonderful afternoon. We've had such a good time with Tumba that at least we got an amazing visual with him, watched him stalking around, and that interaction with the warthog was just quite phenomenal. So in terms of a World Rhino Day, at least we got spoiled with a lot of other animals, and Tayla had the black rhinos. But from Tayla, Jamie, myself, Senzo, and Megan and FC, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you on the Sunrise Safari tomorrow.